We got Manolo Rose in here. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Ain't shit, bro. It's the word.
Chilling, man. Chilling. Yeah, let's start off. Just reminding people who is Manolo Rose. I know you. Just a little bit of your history of music.
Oh, uh,
Because
I
I
guess
know you first burst onto the scene in what was it back in 2013 or
2016.
2016?
Yeah, 2016. Uh, Record all about the money, super flexing, run Ricky run, ball
Yeah,
drop. Shit with me and French. What was that shit? I can't remember that. Old Man Wildin' with Puff, French,
yeah,
shit like that. Yeah. So that was my origin and kickoff, pretty much.
yeah. I remember you had
I
the
forget.
concrete. You had that Concrete Rose album. That
Yeah,
was tough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Concrete Rose. Uh, then we had the Volume One joint too that we put out a little while after that. Wrote records for a bunch of people. Also wrote records, you know what I mean, to mention one, you know what I mean, only to mention his name because he not here no more. PNB Rock. I got him his first single and deal with No Time.
Mhm.
Shit like that, yeah.
How'd you hook up with PNB Rock?
Um I had to do some shit in Philly. I think he did this when he had just came home. He had just came home. I don't even think bro probably was home maybe like a few hours. And somebody was like, this is at the time when Meek and them was like, they was like really, really, pumping them up, and they was like, yo, we got this dude or whatever. Everybody was posting them from Philly, like Meek and uh Kevin Hart and shit like that. They was like really posting the nigga up or crazy. And they was like, he had just came out. So somebody was like, yo, let's get him down, with Manolo and see if Manolo could make some joints for him and shit like that, or come up with some shit. Not necessarily just write everything, but collaborate with him and shit. And so I went down there for that. It was a dude who was managing him at the time named Aubrey. And Aubrey was fucking with somebody that I knew, my man Euro. I think he was fucking with Euro. And I think Euro at the time was at Def Jam and shit like that. And so they had hit me up and was like, let's see what we could do. So when I went down there, I gave him like maybe about 5 records. It was a record that came out with me, him, and French. I gave him that, and then and I don't know if all the other songs came out. I'm not even sure, but so we did that record, the No Time record or whatever. And when I left him, Atlantic had came down there. Orlando had
Mhm.
came down. This is Orlando was with Atlantic at the time. They had came down there, whatever, and they wanted to hear the records that I gave them. And from them hearing that record, that's what had got him his deal. That was his first single on Atlantic.
Wow. So you gave him some records that he did you know if he had recorded them? He had them recorded or no?
Yeah, he recorded them. It came out. The record is No Time. It's out. The shit with me, him, and French came out. Yeah, that's how he got his deal. That was his first single that ever came out off Atlantic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Right.
I was there when he recorded them because what I did was I was coming up. I wasn't there when he recorded the verses, but I was there when he recorded the hooks. I basically I came up with the hooks and he just went in there and said them. You know what I mean?
Okay. But you also said there was some other joints that he didn't end up using, or
Yeah,
maybe the
because it was like it was. I know for sure 2 of them came out. I can't even remember if the other ones came out. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like I don't even really remember, but those 2 came out for sure. You know what I'm saying? Those came out for sure because I'm credited on those records. So
right.
so yeah,
Okay. And what year was this exactly? Do you
this is.
remember?
I don't remember because I think it could have been whenever he first came home because he
Yeah.
didn't even have. Like that nigga ain't even have a haircut or nothing. This is like a few hours. Like he just got out the joint. Like they just they
Yeah.
just just came home and they must have, you know what I mean? And I think at the same time it was Roots Picnic. I think it was Roots Picnic or some shit at the same time. Either it was Roots Picnic or I think it might have been Roots Picnic. And I was going down there for that. And that's what, and they must have just say, yo, being that you gonna be already out here, just fuck it, we just gonna bring that nigga straight to the studio type shit. Like the nigga had like still the white shirt on, white tee with like the gel sweats. I don't remember if the nigga even changed his clothes yet. Like that's how fast he was brought over. Like, you know what I mean? He just came home. So I don't know when that was. That could have been either 2017, it could have been 2017, 2016, something like that. But definitely it was in the summer. We going to this picnic.
Right. I hate to kind of like keep bringing it, like bringing the mood down because we keep talking about people that no longer here.
Yeah,
But someone who I've interviewed and someone who I thought was really talented who was taken out was Chinks. Can you tell me about Chinks and how you met him?
yeah, Chinks. Well, yeah, because I'm also from Far
Oh,
Rockaway,
yeah.
and me and Chinks had a real my cousin and Chinks, Antoine Bailey. They had like a real good relationship. This is the time when Antoine Bailey was signed with Self. You know what I'm saying? And and my cousin. See, so at the time, I wasn't even really making no music. But then when I started making music, um, I had this one like Run Ricky Run had just like hit and it was moving around and shit. I was moving around like that.
Right.
My cousin was like, "Yo, I'm gonna link you with Chinks." So me and Chinks had got up. I had went this crib. He was staying in the bungalows or some shit like that in Far Rockaway, one of them joints like that. And we was at his crib and that's how we met. He had a studio and shit. He had like a nice sized crib house and shit. We was in the studio and that's how we had got cool. You know what I mean? Like when somebody who you fuck with mutually introduce you, you know what I'm saying? Niggas gain like a real good rapport with one another. So we was just in there just cranking out joints and just and Chinks is like is an ill writer. Like the nigga's an ill writer. Like that nigga's an ill nigga. Like when it came to like writing songs and records and making records and shit. And
Mhm.
yeah, me and Son got real cool like that. And then that's how that's when our relationship started. And then I think that's when he had Dope House and shit with
Yeah.
with Jada. He was shooting a video and shit. And I remember like the nigga called me like, "Yo, I want you to be in the video." I remember rushing up to the Bronx and shit from Brooklyn and shit. Them niggas held the video up for me and all that. Yeah, so I could get in this shit with my son. But yeah, Chinks was my nigga. We had like a lot of mutual friends, like
Yeah.
cousin being one, and then um Bino and shit from the whole Riot Squad shit and all that. That's like my real good friend of mine too. So that was like our connections and shit.
Yeah. Shout out to Bino.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think Chinks would have been at? Because I feel like he was definitely talented. And he was on his way. What do you think he would have been at this year, 2023?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say with this shit because it's like this shit is not about talent. You know what I'm saying? If it was solely based on talent, I would say he would be one of the biggest artists out here if it was just solely based on talent. But
Right.
unfortunately, it is not. You know what I'm saying? It's not based on that. And I'm saying, and I'm prefacing it because I'm being realistic.
Right.
So now, if now when records like How to Get Rich and all that shit,
Hmm.
if he was alive and them shits would have got worked the right way and went through the proper channels and all that shit, yeah, some would be out of here because you can see from just that record alone the kind of records he could make. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like no just street records. You know what I mean? Like he really knew how to make real songs. So there's no telling where that nigga would be. You know what I mean? With the ability to make those type of records and and French would have and then French would have worked them shits properly and put them shits through the proper channels, yeah, some would have been out of here. He would be out of here because the nigga could write R&B records. He could write rap party records. You know what I mean? More deeper introspective joints like How to
Hmm.
Get Rich. You know what I'm saying? With melody. Like that shit is like what I mean, you got to be an ill talented nigga to be able to do those type of things. He
Right.
had it. You know what I mean? He had it.
Why do you think? because I'm from Queens, but I'm not from Far Rock. But why do you
Right.
think, because the only people that would try to really were on their way and kind of like were gonna really make it really big
Hmm.
was, I can think of, no disrespect to you, but Stack and Chinks, and they both were
Right.
taken out. So it's like, why do you think that is? Why I mean, I don't know the politics. I don't know.
I
What are
mean,
your thoughts?
I mean, you gotta look. You gotta look at the You gotta just look at the situations. Like, um, and I didn't take what you said as any thing towards me because I'm
Right,
not. You know what I'm saying? I'm from here, but I'm not. I moved to Brooklyn. You know what I
right,
mean? Very young, and I was just still back and forth. No doubt about it. I was here my whole life because I was going back and forth. But I wouldn't. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I don't
yeah,
know. This shit is small because it's Queens, but it's not Queens. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Technically, it's Queens. I guess you can technically say that, but it really isn't. You know what I'm saying? You need to use a bridge to get to this motherfucker. So
hmm,
I mean, uh, and it's like it's a weird area because shit is like it's like if a nigga was in Brownsville. You know what I mean? But it's like that browser was just one strip, you know what I'm saying? And it's like all of these projects and everybody is like, you know what I mean, trying to be the toughest nigga on the planet out here. Niggas is killing motherfuckers out here, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of them places, man, where it's super dangerous, you know what I mean? But it's small. So I believe even if you listen to like Jim, Stacks just made a lot of poor choices of like, Jim said he had got the crib from in Jersey and he ain't want to go. He just wanted to stand for a rock because that's what
yeah,
happens when you come from small places. You know what I'm saying? Niggas get stuck in where they at. It's
yeah,
like, niggas get stuck. But I think Chink's situation was a little different because, he ended up dying in Queens
right,
and over some other type of shit, because he already left. He already moved out. You know what I'm saying? When he saw those type of things that happened to Stack was starting to happen to him, he got up out of here. He knew like, "Nah, I gotta get it from up over here." You know what I'm saying? For somebody coming fucking, you know what I mean, do me like they did him. And he left. So he made the right choice. He just,
hmm,
according to the story, I don't know how true it is. It was like some shit with some nigga when he was locked up, and the nigga
right,
seen him. It's more some hate and shit. You know what I mean? Because if nigga have a fight with you in prison, and that shit is, come on, 5 years removed, 6 years removed. It's like, nigga, come on. Unless he
right,
just did you wild filthy or something. Yeah, I think it's more or less that. Like, those are two separate situations, two separate things. But definitely a lot of the shit that go on here is different because it's small. It's small.
right.
And everybody know each other, everybody on top of each other. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, on because the two guys are still awaiting trial and they were
Hmm.
eventually caught. They're still in jail at the moment, but
Hmm.
I know I've heard other things too, but initially, what are your thoughts on when you found out that was the situation?
I don't know. I was kind of taken aback because I was like, what the fuck? Like, it didn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I just said I don't even really know if that's like the story because
Right.
I'm kind of hoping that it's not. Like, I hope he didn't die for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems
Like I'm
something so
like I'm
small.
hoping it's something way more than just,
Right.
yo, we had a fight in jail. Like I hope that's not what the situation is. Like if that's what it is, then that's some corny shit. You know what I mean? For a nigga to lose his life like that, that shit is whack.
Yeah.
But we in a world where niggas is dying for less.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know a nigga who got died because he ain't shake the nigga hand properly. You know what I mean? So
The fuck.
you
Yeah.
never you never would know like with these niggas out here. You know what I mean? Niggas is going through a lot of shit out here. You know what I mean? So yeah.
The last thing about Shanks, but do you remember your last conversation with him?
Yeah, it's crazy. My last conversation, where the fuck was we at? Oh, you know what? Yeah, we were with where were we at? We was with me, him, French, and Jeremiah at French had a show. I think at the time he was on tour with Jeremiah at the time. And yeah, we were just backstage, just laughing and drinking and talking shit. And it was this dude at the time. He used to come around with $2 bills and shit like that. And like he had like a stack of $2 bills, and we was just back, fucking around and counting the $2 bills and playing around, talking shit. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, good dude, man. Like his heart was just a pure heart, man. That nigga just was like, anybody who been around that nigga, they know like he's super calm and laid back, and everything is like chill. You know what I'm saying? When you're around him, you get a feeling of peace. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Um. All right. So let me ask you about how come it was kind of like a big break. You were doing the thing. I mean, because I remember I interviewed you back in the day. You was doing your
Hmm.
thing, man. You
Hmm.
was huge. You put out Concrete Rose, which
Hmm.
is a great body of work. But
Right.
then you took some time off, and then you dropped season one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like, what happened between? Did you fall out of love with the music? Did you just start your own
Yeah.
business?
Yeah. Like a lot of it was that. A lot of it was the falling out of love with it because um it stopped being fun. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like like man, like so as all of this stuff is going on and we all moving around and we doing what we doing, you know, this shit is about this game is about who you know. You know what I'm saying? This game is based on who you know and your relationships. And at the time I wasn't really aware of that either. You know what I'm saying? So it's certain things that were being denied to me while I'm having these records, you know what I'm saying? With
Mm,
4 or 5 records out at one time. And I couldn't understand, like, you know what I mean? But, due to niggas in their own doing, backdoor bullshit, you know, making these phone calls and things of that nature to stop certain things. And then you also then couple that with everybody around me caught like a crazy indictment. Everybody went to prison. It just wasn't fun. Like the shit
yeah.
that made it fun wasn't there no more. So I kind of like just fell back and then I started doing the writing thing. And that shit was cool to me because it was like that shit was mainly about the music. You know what I'm saying? It ain't have nothing to do with none of the extra sucker shit that go on in this shit. You know,
Mhm.
so from there I'm just like, fuck it, let's do, I'm doing some other shit. And then I went off and did other things too. And then we coming back, putting season one out is like it was like, yo, I just did these are just type some things just to honor, you know what I mean? Certain contracts and things like that.
Okay. So with that being said, was that something just kind of forced out of you, or you still put in your
Nah, 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 nah. Hell no, nah, nah, nah.
you still put in work when
Right.
creating that
Yeah,
music?
yeah, yeah. Because I never really stopped recording. That wasn't really the issue. The issue really was it's a bunch of shit that went on. You know what I mean? Like for instance, when I put when I put I Get Money out, when we did a national run on Mix Show, it performed exceptionally well. So as I'm moving around doing that, it's the same time when a dude, Benny Pugh, had got fired from Rock Nation from stealing everybody budget and shit like that.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So niggas stole my whole budget. Shit like that you don't even got no real control over. I never even met the nigga, you know what I mean? But
Wow.
he was stealing everybody budget up there and he had ended up getting fired. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. And so it was a bunch of little industry shit that go on behind the doors that people don't really know is even happening. So it
Right.
make it seem like, yo, you slowed down, but it ain't really that. It's that when the machine you know what I mean, there's so many things going on in that shit. Like I remember having like 5 different product managers in 2 months.
Right.
So this is niggas getting fired, some niggas quitting, then it's that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you
Mhm.
never really getting that chance to settle in and all that type of shit. So it's a bunch of shit like that that's going on behind the scenes and things of that nature that make all of the shit weird. Like I said, it get corny. It's like, man, this shit is whack. You know what I'm saying? You would rather go get a regular 9 to 5.
Right. Right. So I remember last time I asked you, what what would you want to do with your situation as far as indie or with a major?
Hmm.
So With that being said, you mentioned Rock Nation. So did Rock Nation is the one that did you go with Rock Nation, or
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure a lot of deals on the table.
yeah, I had a situation over there, still do, and but prior to even them, I had a situation with French. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I still went with Rock Nation. It's not even like it's a bad thing. It's just that with the indie shit, it's 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 better when you can release because you can release the music when you want to release it. At the
Hmm.
same time, though, like for instance, so it's like for instance when you got a record and you want it to go and move how you want it to move, so you would need radio and all the digital marketing and things of that nature. What people don't know is that on the indie side of the radio, it's only one slot for one indie record. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like so, even when you hear Flex playing records, it's cool. He gonna play them, but he can't put them shits in a rotation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He could play them on his mix show hours. You know what I'm saying? But he can't place them shits in the rotation because you have to have ad space. And even if you got the money for ad space, that shit is designated to these bigger companies and labels, right? So
Right.
then you have to rely on um, the other media outlets on the outside of those things. When you end, you have to rely on those things, and even in that reliance, it might take you a good 60K just to really move a record. I give you a prime example. They spent 60K on Back in Blood just on the digital side. You feel me? And to do that nationally with radio is like it's like a quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So all of these things had to be factored in when you're doing some shit. You know what I'm saying? With this. And and so like I was saying before, that's when you realize that it's not about the music. It's not about talent. This shit is about who you know. Because you can have $1 billion come into this shit and don't know nobody and running and get jerked because you don't know who to get the money to. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. You had mentioned because you started dropping some things on your channel, on your YouTube
Hmm.
channel,
Hmm.
and it was like some records with like some songs with Nori, and you said, I
Yeah.
guess, can you explain that situation? It was like a bunch of songs that you had lost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I didn't even have. I just got my YouTube back. Like I ain't had that shit for like 5 years. You know what I mean? I ain't even had that. Like right now, I got records that's like moving, but they moving in separate spaces because I can't even put the shit to my own Spotify and all that shit. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to just get all of those things back. And those records was just like records I just had. Like I just had them shits. Even that record, even with Nori, it was like I couldn't even really even get the shit mixed because it was like the shit was lost somewhere. So it's you know what I mean? So those is records I recorded when I was in Miami because I was down there for probably like a month and a half and just recording the projects and shit like that. And then all the shit started happening. So all of those things had to go on hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that I can't think of the name of the song, but that song with the Nori, it sounded really really dope. So
Yeah.
you could tell that it wasn't finished. Like as far as the
Hmm.
beat, I mean, I don't
Hmm.
know how it works. As far as
Hmm.
there's no way to contact producer and get that shit whole mixed down, or
Now because you have to like we couldn't even find his vocals no more. The spot that I was at, something happened with the computer and the hard drive and all that shit that was used at the time. Niggas couldn't even get his vocals no more. So it was like it was over. You know what I mean? We couldn't even get it because I think I had recorded my vocals in a separate spot in Miami, and when he had came, we recorded this shit somewhere else, but it was different from where I recorded my shit at, and then where he recorded his shit at was like it was crazy because it was like a big empty ass room, and it was like fucking drumming equipment in there. So anybody you record in a room and it got like drums and shit like that and equipment, music equipment in there, like live instrument. equipment, shit is bouncing off of the shit inside there. You know what I mean? So, but we was trying to rush to get it done because I think that very same day he was going to go do some other shit. So we had did that shit early in the morning. So it was a lot of shit just to even, you know what I mean, finish the record because I was trying to get the fuck from out of Miami. I was trying to get out of Miami. I didn't really like it down there. So I was like, yo, I'm trying to get the fuck from out of here. So I just wanted to record this shit. So we recorded it and it never came out. And then we was trying to get the fucking vocals, his vocals and shit, and we couldn't. So that's why I'm like, fuck it. I held it, but then I'm like, you know what, just put it out. Because we couldn't find this shit, so it was over.
Yeah. What's wrong with Miami? You don't like you don't like
Nah,
Miami?
nah, it rains too much and it's too humid. It's too humid. And then you know what I mean?
It's not a
I
fuckery
didn't,
going on here.
nah, but it's
A
just
lot of
like
horse
it's like nah, but you know it's like it's so humid and it fucking just keep raining. It kept raining and raining. And then and then it's like I can't. I'm not really made to live in the South. You know what I'm saying? So I can't wake up one day and it's just nothing going on, like nothing at all. Like when you in Miami on fucking Thursday or Wednesday, it's just like shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like how many times you gonna go to the same clubs? You can't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't doing that shit. Like you know, once you go there a few times, it's like all right. You know what I mean? Now what we gonna do? And there's nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even know that a lot of them stores on the fucking strip don't even open up during the weekend, during the weekdays and shit. Them shit's only open up from fucking Thursday to Monday and shit. Thursday to Sunday and shit. You know what I mean? So some shit open up from Thursday to Saturday. That's I was like, nah, this shit is trash. I can't live out here. Shit is really the South. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one thing I don't know, just off topic, but I don't know what's up with Miami. I mean, I've been there once, but I didn't really like
Hmm.
fuck around and visit Miami. But it seems like everybody's real flashy, and if it's like if Miami was a person, New York would rob Miami. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. But you know what too? You ever see that's what I'm saying? Like when you leave off of those, when you leave off of the you know the strip, when you leave off that shit and go into the neighborhoods, it ain't like that.
Right,
That
right.
shit turns into literally the South. It's just like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's like bunch of niggas, nothing to do. And it's like niggas, you can't go to the beach all the time either. You know what I mean? Niggas that live there barely even go to the fucking beach. So it's like they just chilling, just there. It's too
Right.
slow for me. I just ain't. I can't fuck with it.
I feel you.
And I was there for too long. I was there for like a month and a half. So I was like, yo, I can't take this shit no more. I have to get out of here. Well,
Yeah, what you doing now, and what are your plans for the future?
I'm still, still writing, still recording. I think I'm gonna start really, you know what I mean, going back into the music. I fuck with like app developments. I'm doing that, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that we doing. Uh, some film production. I got a film production company that you know what I mean shoots a lot of visuals for people and also for like different companies and shit like that. Like we did it was the sister who was running for the borough president and all that. We did her like whole campaign, her whole political campaign, shit like that. You know what I mean? So stuff like that.
Okay, take me back. Okay, when's the first time you met Taxstone? Like, how do you guys know each other?
I met Tax after one day I had the day I had matter of fact the day I had released the first time I had performed Run Ricky Run with me and Trey Pizzy. Um, Tax heard the record and just tweeted the record out. Like, yo, he, just was like, yo, what is this or whatever. And from there, he had DM me like, yo, some niggas from Interscope want to talk to you. And I was like, all right, you know what I mean? I didn't know who he was, you know what I mean? I didn't know him at all. And so I sent them my number and then people from Interscope had called me. And this one, they wanted to talk to me about, the record, whatever, what my plans was and what I was doing. So, and if anybody know Tax at the time, like on Twitter, he actually helped move that Hot Nigga record with Bobby and shit like that, and probably a bunch of other joints too. You know what I'm saying? That he was really instrumental in getting, making them bigger or whatever. Pause. And so from there, I just was like, I felt like, I owe him enough to be like, he like, yo, I'm gonna come fuck with niggas or whatever at the studio. And I was like, all right, you know what I mean? He came through and we chilled, and from there we got cool.
Right, right. Um, during that time, because I'm just kind of like trying to piece it
Hmm.
together the
Hmm.
timeline.
Hmm.
How did it go? Because the All About the Money record, was that the same time when Troy took that and ran with it, or was that before? Was it after?
No, that was after the situation with me and Troy. That was like this is um it's all in the same time frame, because the situation with me and Troy, with me and him, with our situation, um that Run Ricky Run was, I performed it while I was performing All About the Money. You feel me? So that was actually like my second record that I performed after I performed that. So that shit was out. It was already moving. And
Mhm.
I was performing that somewhere, and then I went into Run Ricky Run, and he heard that, and that's when, you know what I'm saying? So that's like all after the shit, after the fact. It wasn't like I knew him prior to. I didn't know Tax prior to none of that stuff.
Okay, I see. I see. Now, obviously, the trial had
Hmm.
Taxstone's trial had
Hmm.
went its way, and he was found guilty. There was some things that you know obviously I know you were present, I was present, that
Hmm.
came out, and it seems like these events kind of just came together, and they were like kept escalating to physical altercations, to then what happened at Irving Plaza. Can you 'cause-
It wasn't really no. See, it wasn't no physical altercations between Tax and Ab. It wasn't no physical altercation between them. The stuff was really happening with me and my people. Cause like the one thing that happened. So it was the time when Banga came to me. You know what I mean? And I didn't know why. So we seen him in the club, and he had ran out the club because like he seen us, and he was by himself. He saw, like, it was a bunch of us, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, all right, did like any smart person would have did in that moment. It was like, oh, should we get up out of here? So he left. So the next time he knew I was gonna be there because I was with French. And so he was like, he came prepared, like, all right, I'm gonna see them niggas again. And he came to me with a cameraman, and he had a gun. But he didn't pull a gun out, he just grabbed my arm at first, and my cousin had knocked him out. And when my cousin knocked him out, he fell into somebody else's arms. When he fell into somebody else's arms, he took the gun off his waist, like sort of like laying down, because the person is holding him up. And
right,
because we running, towards him. So he took the gun out or whatever, and we got out of there. And the only other altercation that happened was some shit happened with one of the BSB members, and I don't want to say his name because me and him had a conversation, and we worked
right,
that out as men. But he did some shit, you know what I'm saying? And we had caught him in the club, and we had beat him up. And then after that happened, you know what I'm saying? Me and him, we seen each other again, and we had a conversation, and he was just like, and it was, kind of squashed it. Um, the only other times after that I ever even seen them was one time Flex had do something, and we all was there. And
wait,
and
wait, when you say all, who's all?
Av was there. This was my second time seeing Av. You know what I mean? Like, people don't really know, but I only seen him twice. You know what I'm saying? I only seen him two times. You know what I mean? And while we was running around and shit like that, and moving around the city, I never seen them. So those were the only two, and in that time it was mad police, and that's when my cousin had threw the Hennessy bottle at them. But that was it. It
But
ain't
so
hit. It ain't hit them. It ain't hit him. It hit like a girl that was next to him, and that was it.
but
I never
obviously,
seen him after that.
but obviously at this point there's tension, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The tension is there from me and him, but the situation, you know, um, the situation with him and Tax, that didn't happen because they wasn't never, none of us was really ever running into each other. Cause even the shit with me and the other dude, it happened because he knew somebody that I knew, you know what I mean? And we ran into each other at a barbecue and almost got into it there. You know what
Who
I
you talking
mean?
about? Wait. The other dude? You talking about? Who you talking about?
Yeah, the dude I'm talking about that we, you know what I mean? Cause he had somebody had shot at me, right? But I knew who it was because all of the a receipt flew out the window of the car,
A
right?
receipt?
A receipt. It was a receipt. And so I went outside and I picked up all the shell casings. I picked up all the shell casings, threw the shell casings away, and I picked the receipt up. And it had a list of baseball jerseys on it. And I just went to Instagram and saw the nigga who had all the jerseys that was on it. So I knew who did it. You know what I mean? But me and this nigga had a few run-ins where it wasn't even no like fighting. Niggas was kind of arguing, but it wasn't even really me. It was somebody that was around me that was arguing. And then, but niggas seen them later and you know what I mean, and beat them up and shit like that. And from there, like I said, me and son saw each other and niggas, squashed it. It wasn't really nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And even, so it was like, yo, to really be honest, all the altercations was really happening was me and him, was between me and them, not really even him because I didn't ever see him. But it wasn't really like it got too crazy, you know what I mean? So that night,
I mean,
it's like,
if
yeah.
somebody shot at you, it's kind of crazy, no?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that once, see, it was, yeah, it was at its height at that point, but the same person, we caught him and you know what I mean, and did him
Right.
pretty good. But then niggas finished them, and then we seen him maybe like a week or two later. And me and son had a convo, and it was like, yo, he like, yo, you know what I mean? I ain't even really want to be in the shit like that, but y'all niggas was on me at the barbecue them 2 times. I felt kind of crazy. I felt
Right.
like I had to do something, bro. Da da da. Da. It ain't really nothing. I ain't really with none of that shit. Niggas did what they did. I did what I did, and it's all good. And I'm like, you right. It's all good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I didn't really have no real. I never really had no venom towards them like that. I didn't really give a fuck, you know what I mean? In the sense of like, like I really wanted to do stuff to. I didn't really want to do none of them niggas because bro, anybody that know me and the people that surround me, I could get anything done to anybody. But it wasn't serious enough, bro. Like imagine a nigga, come on, bro. Like even with like Banga, right? Like me and him never had no good relationship or nothing like that, right?
Well, did you?
But it,
I'm
but
sorry. Go ahead.
But it's kind of tragic that he died over somebody not liking somebody else's music. That shit is like, it's fucked up, bro. Shit is whack, bro.
I understand it is a horrible
Shit is
situation.
whack, bro. Shit is whack.
I understand, but do you guys know each other? Do you have like a prior relationship with these guys, like Banger? Like,
Bro, I don't have no relationship with none of them. I don't know none of them guys, bro. I don't know them. I don't know them at all. Like, Um, Banga. Only thing I knew about Banga is he used to play ball. You know what I'm saying?
right?
Because I used to play ball, and I'm talking about like with like you and shit like that. He
Yeah.
was like a few years ahead of me, but I knew him because of that. But we talking about I was 14. You know what I mean? Like a kid. But I didn't know him personally. Ain't like we had in position of shaking hands and hanging out. Like I didn't, none of that ever happened. Like, nah, I didn't know none of them. I didn't know Av either. The only person, um, Av knew somebody else that I knew. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I even was really, that's how me and him even had conversations over the phone through three-way and shit like that. But I didn't know none of them. I didn't know them at all.
I understand. I mean, the situation that you're talking about, where
Mhm.
where you said a gun went off, as far as Banger. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, with Banga. All right, so what happened was we seen him, like I said, we seen him in the club one time. and he got out of there because we was deep that day and he was by himself. So,
Right.
he made the smart decision, like, oh, I'm getting the fuck out of there. Like anybody else would have did. It's not taking nothing away from him, but that's what anybody would have done. You feel me?
Yeah.
In that moment. And then the next time he seen us, he was more prepared. But when he grabbed my arm, I didn't know who he was, right? So I'm walking down this little hallway. It was a Halloween party. So as French and him walk past, I'm walking kind of like a little bit behind French and him. Somebody say, yo, what up? So I'm like, what up? But then he grabbed me and said, nah, what up? So I recognized it was him. So I'm like, so what up, nigga? And my cousin snuffed him. When he snuffed him, he fell. He fell into somebody's arms, and he didn't shoot the gun. He just took it off his waist while he was laying in the nigga arms. He took it off his waist. My cousin grabbed me and moved me, and we went out to the spot. That was just it.
Oh, I see. Is this the same situation? Because I think Tax did a recent interview from jail with Complex, where he's saying he had done this a few weeks prior to the Urban Plaza incident. Is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is probably like it is like a few weeks. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it might have been about. It could have been about 2-3 weeks. Yeah, could have been something like that.
wow?
But I think even see, but that's what I'm saying, bro. Like these things were occurring, but that's what I'm saying. You know, just even getting back to him, bro. Like niggas, bro, a nigga is really dead, bro, because a nigga didn't like another nigga's music, bro. This shit is like it's bullshit. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it's fucked up because, like I said, this happened, right? That did happen a few weeks in separation. But I always say this too, like, cause like you was there in court and you heard the story. The
Right.
story Av told was that he was going to work, he didn't know he was there, right? The girl told the story like they came in the room and just popped on him. Mano told the same story, but also Banga told the same story too on Clubhouse. And as you was there in court, they tried to bring up the story he said in Clubhouse
You mean
about
Banger's brother? You mean Banger's
right.
brother?
I mean,
Yeah.
Banga, Trife,
Yeah.
pardon me. And when Trife told the story of they knew he was there. They went to catch him while he was there, and it just didn't go in their favor. You know what I mean? Shit just went left. So we could all see from just the three stories of everybody basically corroborating the story of they knew he was there. Somebody lined it up.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They don't know who. I heard a name, but I ain't sure, so I ain't gonna put that out there. But somebody lined it up. They went to catch him, and it just didn't go in their favor. But
I
at
mean,
the end of the day, the shit it's still fucked up, bro, because it's really over nothing.
yeah, it is a sad situation. I've heard both. I was there for every day
Hmm.
for court. So the prosecution opening statement was that um, obviously kind of like Tax was the aggressor. He said he saw them and he said what's popping.
Right.
Uh, Tax's I'm sorry, his Montgomery's who was Tax's attorney.
Hmm.
His opening statement stated that Troy was the aggressor. They were throwing bottles or some situation. If you were to guess what happened, what do you
I'm,
think
I'm
happened?
gonna
I know
tell
you
it.
weren't there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna tell a story I'm gonna tell the same story Trife told. Trife said. He said they knew Tax was there. They went there to do what they was going to do. And it's just like the girl who also testified and corroborated basically what Trife said. That when they came in there, they popped on them as soon as they walked in the room. You know what I mean? And you can hear her voice on camera saying, "Get off of him, get off of him." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they was the aggressor. They knew he was there, just like Tripe said. That somebody lined it up, bro. Somebody said, "Yo, the nigga there." Because I know from somebody that was in the shit with them, that was there with them, that went to Urban Plaza with them. The story he told me was that they said that they decided not to go. They was gonna go, but then they decided not to go because they was like he basically said that he didn't want to do no more shows with Uncle Murder and Mano. And so they was like, they all was like, fuck it, then we ain't going. You know what I mean? But then he said the nigga had got a phone call, like they showed. They showed when he get the call and he go in the hallway and he come back in and he told everybody, let's go. Cause he heard he was there. Somebody said, yo, that nigga here. So they all went up there with that intent. You feel me? And that's what I'm saying. Is like at the end of the day, even if you don't like,
Yeah.
you don't have to like Av or don't have to like Tax. But
Right.
let's be honest, bro. If everybody's telling the same story except him, and he has an obvious reason for him to tell the story the way he's telling, and everybody that was around it, seen it, was there, and either was in the room when he got the call to go up there, they even corroborate the same story Trife said, the same thing the girl said, same thing Mano said. You know what I'm saying? About when they got in the room, they knew who he was at. You know what I mean? They played all of that, the visual and all of that of him getting the call, him coming in, them running out. You know what I mean? The right was on the wall, bro, and it just went the way it went.
I see. I see. Yeah. How, who was Malcolm Kenyon? I know Malcolm Kenyon. For people who don't, he was a cooperator in this
Right,
Taxstone.
right. Malcolm King, he also cooperated. Yeah, he was moving, he was moving, he was
Brick.
selling keys
Yeah.
and he was out in California selling a bunch of bricks and shit.
But do
So
you
he
know?
was
Do you know
huh?
him? Like, do you have your own relationship with
Nah,
Malcolm?
I know him, but I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't never it's never been a time with me and him just sitting down, kicking it, having a drink. You know what I mean? Like he my man. Like I don't know him like that. But I knew him because my cousin my cousin used to fuck with him. You know what I mean? He had got my cousin and them kind of like jammed up too. Some, you know what I mean? They was getting some work off the nigga and shit at the time. They was buying work from the nigga. But so when all of that shit happened, Tax had went to Cali and was staying at his crib for like a month or two, and them being in that crib for that month or two, um, because after the shit happened, Tax went down. So after him staying in that crib with Son for that month, Son got jammed up because he had like a bunch of keys. He was selling keys in jukeboxes. Like he was putting them shits in jukeboxes and then shipping them off. Like he had a jukeboxing company or whatever. And he was shipping the keys off, but the feds was on him because they already had his phone tapped and somebody else that he was fucking with, he had their phone tapped. And he got caught with $1 million worth of cocaine. So in true fashion, like these niggas do, he got jammed up. And when he started telling on everybody that he knew, he was like, yo, I also know this. You know what I mean? But and then even like you was there, you heard his own story. He only indicated that Tax he said that he never seen them with a gun, but he said when they asked him, did he say that he shot Banga? He said he didn't say he shot him. He just made a gesture towards his waist, like he did it. You know what I mean?
Right. He said he hit me, so I hit him. And he gestured a gun. A
Right,
gun. Sign.
right, right, right. Exactly. Exactly. But I don't know him. And they was gonna give some 44 years. So in that 44 years, that's the story, you know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
was, he saw his way out of getting that time.
What is your overall thoughts on his testimony? Like, what do you? I mean, what's going through your mind when you're hearing all this? Do you believe Do you believe it? Do you? I mean,
Nah, I
are you
believe
worried for
what that
Tax?
is telling. Yeah, I believe he telling because he there in the fucking flesh on the stand. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But I couldn't you know what? None of this shit don't surprise me though. Nah, it don't surprise, not surprising because it's very few niggas that can do that's going to take they lick and get that 44. You know what I
Right.
mean? Especially a nigga that was in his position. You talking about millions of dollars. You're not talking about no nigga just getting a couple ounces or one key. This nigga got caught with $1 million worth of coke. And he got caught with over $1 million in cash. So you talking about a millionaire. This nigga,
Yeah.
he like, man, I ain't trying to go to prison.
Hmm.
So he told. So it's not surprising that the nigga told him nothing. Hell no. That shit ain't surprising at all.
Hmm. Are you surprised of the messages, the voice notes that they were able to pull from Tax's cell phone and from Telegram from his cell phone?
Right, when he was talking about his assistant and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't that either because if you know, I mean, anybody who follows Tax, they know how Tax talk. Like he talk like that normally. If you just listen to the nigga on Twitter, he say the most outlandish shit ever. That's just how he speaks. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
even the Telegram shit with him, they, guy's phone in there and all that, and him telling his assistant, and that's another thing too, because people was trying to say that girl is his sister, and that's not his sister. That was his assistant, not his sister. But him telling his assistant to suck the nigga dick to make him come down there and tell a story of whatever, whatever. I mean, shit, who wouldn't do that?
Right.
Anybody be like, yo, don't have that nigga saying it was me. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel you. Yeah. Yeah. So talking to Tax, I'm sure you've talked to Tax throughout this whole
Mhm,
thing. Like, what is his
mhm.
mind frame? What does he tell you? I mean, what can you
Well,
tell us?
the one thing that what I mean that he really told was me and him talked about was like, yo, I'm he felt confident. He feels confident. I mean, obviously, because they was trying to give him a murder in the second. It got dropped down to a manslaughter in the first. You know what I mean? So he won in that sense. Um, and but even prior to that shit going on, but prior to him, them dropping the shit down to a lesser charge, even prior to that, he just felt like he just strong. He's strong. He said out of his mouth, I'm stronger than these niggas. And I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be all right. You know what I mean? And that was really his mindset every day that I spoke to him. Son didn't have no quiver in his voice and nothing like that. He was super good on the alley. He was all right. He was straight.
I understand. Something that I've been trying to like tell you. Just I've been trying to reach out through Instagram. I
Hmm.
know it's not the best way sometimes, but
Hmm.
because I wanted to apologize to you because I didn't mean what happened outside of court to happen. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that was going to happen.
But see, and that's another thing too, because people and I accept your apology, but it really wasn't. It mainly wasn't your fault. But at the same time, it's like if what people don't really understand is that me and Trife never argued. That's was everybody else arguing with him. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing too, because you know what I mean. People made it seem like, oh, yo, you was arguing with him. Y'all was about to fight. I'm like, nah, like that wasn't me. I didn't really even respond to him because one thing I understand is this. You know what I'm saying? Because I lost close, relatives. You know what I'm saying? Brothers to this shit. You know what I mean? And the nigga hurt. He lost his little brother. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who lost their little brother. And he said that and you like you were there. He said it to me while you were there. While that once the argument kind of died down, the first thing he said to me was like, "Come on, bro. You acting like I shouldn't be mad. I lost my brother." And when I said to him, I said, "Well, I understand that. Just don't talk to me, but I understand." That was the only time me and him really had words, you know what I'm saying, back and forth words. Everybody else kind of jumped on it. I was like, you know what I mean? Come on, you can't really fight in front. It was mad police and that shit. And
right.
in front of the shit. I can't fight up there. I didn't understand why niggas was like, yo, you and that nigga was arguing. I'm like, nah. Nigga called me and was like, yo, what up with son? Da, da, da. I'm like, nothing. I'm like, he wasn't arguing with me. He was arguing with somebody else who said they knew him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know
But
what?
yeah, that shit wasn't your fault though. Niggas emotions was high, bro. That nigga lost his brother, bro. At the end of the day, nigga lost his brother. I get it.
Yeah. I understand as well. You know, I have a, I have, I'm sympathetic towards Trife. You know, I like Trife. Uh,
Right.
I, I like you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we've spoken throughout the years,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, I forgot what I was gonna say. um, it's just crazy. One thing I don't want to see, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
a hip hop fan, is this
Mm-hmm.
keeps kind of escalating. You know what I mean? And this
Yeah.
and then part two happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something
Nah, nah,
we
that's
don't
a
want.
fact. That's a fact. It's like this, man. It's sad. Like I said, it's sad because I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like if you the leader, right? If you the leader of your crew and you leading people, you as the person who's the leader has to be smarter. You know what I'm saying? And the position you put your people in. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't imagine, because the people that's around me, these are my family members. You know what I mean? I'm in their crib. I know their mamas. I could go to their mama crib when they not there. You know what I mean? If I ever fell off bad and needed somewhere to stay, I could go stay at these people's house. You know what I'm saying? And I can't imagine going to tell my homeboy moms that that he's dead or he's in jail for the rest of his life because somebody didn't like my songs. That's crazy to me. I don't understand that. I don't, bro. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. You know what I'm saying? And then it's even worse if I was to come out and tell everybody that I won. How, bro? He's dead. How did
Right.
you win? Where's the victory in that? What's the victory? Like that's crazy. Like when you really think about it, just on some human shit. I ain't talking about no just trying to say fuck bro because it's fuck him. No, I'm not saying that. I'm as a human being, bro. Imagine somebody that's around you that you highly respect and say you got love and admiration for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a nigga come and say, yo, I don't like the way son do his interviews. That nigga interviews is trash.
Right, right.
And niggas is going, and every day this guy, or anytime this guy's on Twitter, and every time you do an interview, he say, look, another whack ass interview he did. And you might be tight, like, damn, why this nigga keep saying this shit? Like, you feel me?
Right.
But then imagine somebody you really close to, somebody you love is dead on jail because somebody didn't like him.
Right.
That shit is like, nigga, what the fuck? Like, that's it? Like, that's the reason? Because like I said, it was no real altercations between them two. There was no run-ins, bro. That was their first run-in. You know what I mean? When all of that shit was, when it was at its height. You feel me?
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, bro. That shit is sad. And it's ill because still in that room, I honestly still feel we don't really know what happened in that room.
Right.
I still feel like that. You know what I mean? Because like you was there, like we heard his testimony. His shit was like he said that he couldn't even definitively say he saw him shoot him. He said, "Yo, they was fighting, and I saw the flash go off in between them." So now that's saying we could be tussling for the gun, and it went off. You know what I'm saying? But then he just said he definitively shot me. I seen he stood over me in my lasers, and he shot me. But even in that story, it was like, yo, he was holding a gun. He was hitting tags with the gun. So it was never no real definitive time to say when he even had control of the gun, when he didn't have control. So I left out of there with more questions than I did with any form of closure.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because I was like, what the fuck? Like, so when did he get it? When did he, you know what I mean? Did he when he's saying he got shot in the leg, he said he was laying on the floor, but then he said he also got shot, stood up, and still started snuffing them out. Come on. If I'm a person, right? Now let's just be logical and make logical sense here. If I'm a person and I have this gun and you just saw me shoot your man in the chest like he described, right? Now let's say if I'm a nigga, I have the gun. Now this ain't no tussle, this ain't no flash in between shit, none of that, right? I have a gun. I shoot your man in the chest. Boom. He falls to the floor. You already on the floor. I stand up over you and shoot you too. Are you telling me this same person now, I just saw you kill, because there is no question on are you a killer at that point, right? In this scenario. There's no question. Are you gonna get up and am I gonna allow you to get up and snuff me? I would have just shot you again and killed you too. What would be the difference?
Right.
That story just didn't make any sense, bro. It don't make any sense. And I never really asked Tax on the full details because there ain't no shit you ask a nigga. You know what I mean? You don't really ask like shit like that. You know, when you come from this shit, you know that. Like, you know, because you make yourself a fucking accessory after the fact, asking niggas questions on what happened. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So you know, like, I don't ask that. Like, niggas saying just whatever. But my thing is like, we know that's not the story, bro. We know that's not the story. That story don't make no sense. That story don't make no sense. And the shit when the lights went out and then you hear all the rapid fire, right? You remember that part? when he was in the room, and they say the tussle was occurring, boom, 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 and then the lights go out, and then you hear rapid shots, and then you see Son come out and fall, and you see him run out behind him, but then you see Son with the gun running out the door. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like it's I left out of that shit more confused, bro. I'm gonna just leave it as that.
Right.
I was confused, bro. I'm like, damn. So what really happened in there like that? And I don't think we'll ever really get that full story until everybody's in the clear.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we're on but this is recorded on June 1st.
Right,
On June 20th is Tax's sentencing. Is
right,
supposedly he's going to be looking over maybe about 20 years. What are your
right.
feelings and what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think his. Well, what people really got to factor in too is he already got 6 years in. So if his highest thing he could get is a dub, right?
Mhm.
Without no life behind it. That's the highest he could get. Um, the low end of him getting is about 10. If he get 10, Tax will be home in 2 years. If he get 15, he'll be home in four.
And where? And what?
And four.
In 4 years. Okay.
Right? Because if he gets 10 years, he already has 6 years in. You
Time
only
served.
gotta do 8. He would only have to do 8 and he would be eligible for parole. You understand what I'm saying? And if he gets so that's 2 years. If he gets 15, he'll be all he have to do is 4 more years.
Hmm.
And he'll be up for parole. You understand what I'm saying? And if he get the dub, then he will only have to do a good another 6 or 7, another 6 out of that shit. 7 years. You know what I mean?
I see
So
what.
so it's not gonna be how everybody think it's going to be, where it's like, oh, he's gone forever. That's not true because he's already did the time. He sat in the state for 6 years already.
But yeah, but he also has a federal gun charge.
Right. Now, only thing with that, because remember that's why the state had gave the case of gave the, I mean the feds gave the state the case because they wanted to basically see the outcome of the state, but he already copped out to the gun
Right.
in the feds. He copped out in the gun in the feds already and was already serving time in the feds for the weapon. And then they transferred him over to the state. So even in that federal case, still got time over there too, because I think he was maybe 2 years in the feds and then came over to the state and did 4. So if they run them shits concurrent, son ain't gonna be going that long.
Hmm.
That's the reality of it, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
that's the reality of it. So I think to be honest, I could see him honestly getting the 15. I could see him getting the 20. I could see him getting the 10 because it's all in the judge's hand and it carries that time frame, right? At the
Hmm.
same time, it's like I feel like other I feel like it was other niggas responsible too.
Hmm.
because because if I like I said, if I have get a phone call to catch the nigga slipping and I call you and we go up there and you die, like that's on me.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yo, to be honest, if niggas would have probably just called him and say, yo, son is up here, he was going to go do something else. He probably be like, man, fuck that nigga. You feel me? Like, I don't fuck that. I'm going to do what I'm about to do anyway. I'm going to do some other shit anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I'm saying that because it wasn't his direct situation like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying it's fucked up because ultimately, however he got hit in that room, he died because somebody didn't like somebody else's music. That
Right.
shit is whack, bro. Shit is whack. Shit is whack. And that's one of those things where it's like, this shit ain't worth it. This shit is corny. Because like look at like people like King Vaughn. Like y'all niggas arguing over songs and nigga dead. Like what the fuck? Like y'all niggas crazy. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Shit don't make no sense, bro.
Right. If when Tax does ever get out, what do you think his What do you think he'll do? You think he'll just pick up where he left off as far as the podcast?
Yeah, hell yeah, because like think about it, bro. Like he's the only person, in all honesty, that nobody was ever able to hear his side of the story. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like, he was locked up. So, and when he was locked up, he wasn't able to tell what happened from his perspective.
right.
You know what I'm saying? From his side of the story. You know what I mean? And everybody got a one-sided version. And even in that one-sided version, as you know, because you was there, the interviews that was done wasn't truthful. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't.
You mean the
Because
testimony?
because of the stories of I was charged with the murder, I was charged with my man body, I was
Mm,
charged for his gun, and all of these things was like, hey, bro, that when it all came out in court, that wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? Because you was initially charged with the gun with one of his guns, but they he copped out to that gun, so they knew that gun wasn't yours, but it was them other two guns. You feel me? That got caught, and plus you on video shooting that gun inside the club. But it was ultimately that's what you were charged with. You know what I'm saying? And so and even in there, because you was there, and I'm glad I'm talking to you because you were actually there. They asked him, "Yo, why did you say your fingerprints wasn't on a gun?" He said, "Oh, because I told them that it was Banga and Hovain are the ones who usually carry those guns. And I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to go to jail." So he basically told on Hovain because Hovain was alive at that time when he said that. You know what I'm saying? And then he was mad at his friends, at Lido and Hovain, because he said they didn't want to take the charge for him. You know what I
right.
mean? The other two guns. That's why he was mad. But this is another ill thing. And this is another thing. This is what I'm saying about accountability.
Right.
They, because you were there, and I'm gonna say it again because you were there.
Gotcha.
They asked him. They said, "Why would they want to take charges for you?" Right? They said, "Why would they do that?" And what did he say? He said, "Why would they let the man who make the money go to prison?" He called himself the Golden Goose. So
Mm,
you basically said everybody that was there that day in that room, life had less value than yours, bro. So that
mm,
sound right to anybody? Bro, that's just a little weird to me. Like, nigga called himself the Golden Goose.
right.
That means everybody else ain't worth nothing out here. And you going to prison is what you should do. Cause I'm the Golden Goose. Like this nigga ain't got kids. Hovain, he got kids.
Right.
He should have went to jail. Cause you feel like, you know what I'm saying? You the one, you the niggas lives got less value. Is your life more valuable than Bangers too? Is you the Golden Goose to him too? Supposed to be a man. This is what I'm saying. I'm just saying from what was said in there. This ain't no shit I'm making up, right or wrong. I ain't making this shit up. That's what was said in there. You know what I mean? That's out of his own mouth. That shit is crazy to me. Like,
Right.
damn. It kind of fucked me up hearing a nigga say that. Because even if you think of some shit like that, I ain't never heard a nigga say that shit out his mouth out loud.
Yeah.
But
Um,
you know,
I mean, I've gotten a lot of flack on my from some of the audience that looks at the videos and say that I'm kind of biased or whatever. First of all, I don't, as far as like Tax. First of all,
mhm,
I don't know Tax. I never met Tax. I don't have nothing against them.
right?
I would love to ask him questions, but you're the only one I've from his side that I've
Hmm.
talked to.
Hmm.
But something that keeps coming up is that, okay, the letter to the judge that was written by
Right.
a lawyer, and it's like, oh, he's kind of like dry snitching in that because he's pointing the finger to Troy, and it's like, oh, it's his lawyer. What is your
Let me
response?
let me ask you this: how many times was that letter brought up in the trial?
It was never brought up.
Never. Okay, so we ain't even. There's no need to talk about it then, because if that letter is like they trying to say, this is snitching. Okay, if you're saying that, then why in this letter is never brought up in trial at one time? Not once. It never came up. And F, right? Like he tried to say, he said, yo, he told on me first, right?
Right.
Okay.
I saw
This
that.
this how you know that's bogus too, because if that's the case, then you would be in prison for the crime. So you saying you was a better teller? That's how it worked? We know it don't work like that. The first nigga who takes the deal gets the deal, right? You
Right.
That's how it goes. So if this letter was so called telling on him, then why the fuck you ain't get charged with nothing of this in regards to that? And and why was the shit never brought up in court?
Mm.
Never. It never came up. Never was mentioned. Not one thing. And I want to address something else too, because I seen somebody say, "Oh, he also was trying to tell on Banga." That don't make sense because if my defense of a person who died that they saying that I killed, my defense is, and you were there, so you know that every time you couldn't bring up anything he really did in his past endeavors because they said you can't speak ill on the dead and you couldn't bring up his prior transgressions. But we got to be honest, bro. Niggas went up there with bad intent, with intent to do harm. Niggas ain't go up there just lollygagging, doing bullshit, and that's according to his brother's story. That's not my story. That's his brother's story. That's the other girl who testified. That's her story. The nigga who was in the room that I know spoke to personally. That's his story. So none of these people, nobody's an angel in this situation.
I
You know what
understand.
I'm saying? We always doing shit out here in the street. We always running around doing shit over this shit, and you know what I mean. And shit was happening. You know what I'm saying? So nobody went up there with bad intent, and only way to defend myself in the sense of saying, yo, let's not, because they was trying to paint him as a security guard when we know that he's not no security guard. He's not no licensed security guard. He was never that. That was his friend. Yeah, he was, and he was using him as muscle. He was. You know what I'm saying? He was sending them places. He sent them to snuff McCone off the stage and all that shit. He sent him to beat the nigga up. And look, here we go again. Remember when they beat the journalism dude up? I think he was at Complex or one of them blogs or some shit like that.
I think it was
And they
Vice.
was Banga beat him up. Why did he beat him up? Because he said Troy Ave music sucked. And he didn't when he did the same, try to pull the same exact move again, and it just didn't work this time. It went bad. The shit went left. And niggas is not taking no accountability, bro, at all.
Yeah, I'll admit, that was something that kind of surprised me that Troy was running around like he was like Suge Knight or something.
Right. But look how he was doing it. He was doing it to niggas like McCorn and bullshit ass blog niggas. Like it was just fucked up. You know what I mean? But once again, bro, like you sent the nigga to do the same thing. That shit just ain't go right. You know what I mean? And this shit, the shit can't go wrong, and then you lose, and then you like, oh, I'm gonna just tell on everybody because I don't want to go to jail for these guns. So I'm about to start telling. That's kind of crazy. Streets become a myth and everything after you got caught. That slogan would be true if you wasn't doing none of that stuff. If you said I ain't into none of that because the streets is a myth, that would make sense. But you don't say it's a myth after you got caught because you don't want to do the time because you feel like you the golden goose and everybody else is, I guess, minions to you. You know what I mean? Niggas is just pieces on the chessboard to you. That's kind of wild, bro.
Yeah, but I would admit for the people just listening and watching that Montgomery was able to sneak in a couple of things of Banger's
Hmm.
past. That
Right,
Banger
right,
did.
yeah, definitely, because and he was supposed to because that's a valuable defense. The
That's his
person
job.
because the way that they tried to paint it was that he was a security guard and not being able to mention what he did, what the things that he was doing would make it seem as if he was just an innocent person that was at his job that got killed while at work, and that's not what happened. So in order to defend myself, I had to say, well, this guy's not an angel. This guy was doing X, Y, Z. That's not telling on somebody. Because the guy, first of all, they accusing me of killing the guy. I can't tell him. That don't even make sense. It's like, how you supposed to defend yourself? That don't make sense. You know what I mean? In a murder trial where they trying to paint it as like this guy was just at work and he was just on duty that day. And that wasn't the case. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He wasn't no security. He wasn't no hired security man and all this other stuff. You know?
Throughout this trial, I know you and Troy have traded some shots. I know there was some
hmm hmm
and like I said, I don't want part two because I feel like it's bound to happen with if this continues.
Nah, to me, it's like it's it's not really it's not really it's over for me. I don't really care. I didn't really care then. I just addressed it because I never see, bro. If people really remember and go back and watch these things, I never see. Look, all the stuff that I mentioned about what happened in the street, right?
Mhm.
Nobody ever heard me say none of this stuff. You know what I mean? So people honestly thought like he was running around being a bully, and that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? He was the one getting hurt. So he couldn't have been bullying nobody because he was the one getting hurt. He the one getting shot and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't never the case. Nobody knew the situation with me and Banga. Nobody knew that. I never said nothing about that. I didn't get on no song and say niggas caught your man and knocked him out. Ooh, he came with a gun in the camp. I never said that. I never said none of that shit. I never said, yo, niggas hit at me. I never said I caught the nigga. Now, if you listen to them, niggas is trying to, yo, niggas shot at you. Yeah, but niggas caught something and whooped his ass. Did I say it? Did you ever hear me speak on that? Nah. Because that shit is in the street. You don't bring none of that shit to the internet. And that's what both of them niggas was doing. You know what I mean? And nigga him and Tax, you know what I mean? They on the internet arguing and all this. I wasn't doing none of that, bro. Like I didn't do no interviews like he, when he was running, going to breakfast show telling me you gonna slap me, knowing damn well that shit wasn't gonna happen. When they asked me, they said, you got a problem? I said, no, I don't got a problem. Because I already know the moment you say you got a problem with somebody, you telling the police, bro. You basically saying, if something happened to me, it's that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And it's like you don't do that. So maybe that's what saved me too. Maybe saved me. Cause I ain't the nigga running around, wasn't doing no interviews saying all of this stuff was happening. Niggas was doing this, I was doing it. And I wasn't doing none of that, bro. That shit is corny. So all of the shit that happened now is only cause niggas mentioned me. I didn't really care about none of that shit no more. Because it's like I'm a person where it's like shit is pointless. And at this point, right? And at this point, with everything that happened, niggas mention me, I mention them. I don't care about it. I move on. I don't care about that. I'm doing all sorts of shit with sports and shit like that. I don't really give a fuck about none of that shit, bro. I don't even care. And and if I was to see son, you know what I mean? I'ma say I wish nothing was to happen to him. You know what I mean? I don't want nothing. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't want nothing to happen to that nigga. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't have no ill will towards none of them niggas, bro. I don't even care. We're not even in the same world. I don't even exist. They don't exist in my world. I don't exist in their world. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. It don't need to go no further. But once a nigga gets with a stand and tells on the situation, it's over. Like shit's over, bro. It's over. Like for me, I'm not saying what it is for other niggas. I'm saying for me, it's over.
Yeah. What do you think when? What did you think when you heard of Casanova on that wiretap phone call?
It was. I thought it was crazy because it's like, damn, you know, it's fucked up because you know you don't even know if your shit tapped.
Yeah.
That's what's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas had no real knowledge of their shit being tapped and none of that shit. And it's like, damn, niggas is tapping niggas' phone. Niggas is on these phone calls with these niggas, and you talking, and it's like, yo, niggas got to stop doing that type of shit. You know what I mean? Even through text, niggas could. You think you text some shit and delete it? That shit don't matter either. Niggas pulling out niggas whole text messages and shit you deleted. They pulling them shits up. You know what I mean? Niggas got to be smarter. That's all. That's what I said in my head. Like, damn, niggas got to really be smarter. You know what I mean? You can't be on them phones talking about crime. You know,
Right.
at all. I don't give a fuck what it is. A nigga text me anything in regards to crime. My first reply is always, I do not commit crime. I don't know who commits crime. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And full plain English. No abbreviated shit, none of that. Spelling correct, punctuation marks are correct, everything. Cause just in case, They pull that shit up, that's what's gonna be on that shit. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are
So
you gonna be?
that's the approach niggas gotta start really taking.
Yeah. Are you gonna be at Texas sentencing?
Um, I might be, you know what I mean? I might be. It all depends because I gotta shoot down to Atlanta at that same time. So I'm gonna try to see either I could try to push my flight date back or flight time back or just kind of stay out here. You know what I mean? But bro know where I stand with him, you know what I mean? We spoke a bunch of times, you know what I mean? He gonna have a bunch of his family there and all of that shit too. And you know, we'll speak and we gonna chop it up and everything will be all right. He gonna get exactly with what he calls for. You know what I mean? Is in the judge's hands. So it ain't gonna matter if I'm there or not. But I'm gonna try to be there because I just want to show the nigga some support and love and show that you know what I mean. Niggas still got a lot of love out here. And when he come home, like I said, nobody ever got to hear him really talk about it. So the first time he come out and speaks in person, it's gonna be crazy. And from right there, he gonna shoot back up to the moon to where he's supposed to be because he just that charismatic. Niggas know him. That's what he do.
Mm-hmm. Well, there it is. Any last words for the people watching? For the
Nah, well, I would say this. You know, my last words is like, yo, man, be careful as to you know when you are. I'm gonna say be more mindful. Be more mindful of when shit gets you upset. Ask yourself, is it worth it before you go out there and do some shit? Because you could either potentially be on the situation where you tax and you facing 20 years, or you could be like Banga and be in the grave. And we all can agree that shit wasn't worth that for nobody. For nobody. Nobody. That Trife, his, Banga moms, nobody in there felt good. Nobody. And it wasn't worth it. And I'm gonna say that. Be mindful when you about to go do some shit. Who you pulling into doing some shit? Ask yourself, is it worth it before your ass go do it? Do you want to be in the grave? Do you want to do the 25? Is it worth that? If you say no, then don't go.